So, Clarisonic is going out of business. I find that pretty wild. I was using Clarisonic for, I want to say, around 8 years. I kind of fell off of using it for the last couple years, and I'll discuss my reasons why I stopped using it. But the main thing I want to talk about today is Clarisonic going out of business? I kind of want to talk about my opinion on what kind of happened, what went wrong, all speculation. But when I got the email last week from Clarisonic that they are no longer going to be operating, that they are shutting down, they are donezo, I was surprised. I was like, what? Why? That's crazy. But as I sat and thought about it, it's like, you know what? I don't know if it's that crazy, actually. I don't know. So I kind of want to talk about that today, not only because I was an old user of them and I was a little surprised, but oddly enough, my top performing videos on my channel are my 2 videos where I discuss Clarisonic that I did right when I first started my channel, like a long, long time ago. So I'll link them down in the description box if you're not familiar with them, but some of you actually probably subscribe to me from those videos. So I want to kind of fill you in on my thoughts, why I don't use them anymore, all of that we talked about. So if you have any thoughts and opinions on the Clarisonic device or why they shut down or anything like that, feel free to comment along down with me as we discuss, and we're gonna get started. So if that all sounds good and dandy to you, then you know what to do. Sit back, hang tight, and keep on watching. Boop. Now, let's first discuss, I guess, maybe my relationship with Clarisonic to just give you a little bit of a backstory. I started using Clarisonic, I want to say in 2013. That sounds about right. It was like right before I was getting married, or maybe it was the year before I got married. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere around then. So it's 2012 or 2013. I started using my Clarisonic, and if you want the full story of my testimonial of my video that I did, again, it was when I first started my channel, so I wasn't as comfortable in front of the camera. It's a little more awkward, but I go into great detail what happened. But long story short, after a month of using it, I had something come out of my face that was there since I was 12, and it turned out it was like a keratin buildup, and the only thing that ever was able to take it out was a Clarisonic, which was wild. So needless to say, I was obsessed with it after that because it made such a drastic difference in my skin, and it was just clearing everything out, but it was still gentle, and my dermatologist was like, keep doing it, you're doing great, have fun. I did stop recommending it and talking about it on my channel. I want to say, when did I go cruelty free? I think 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I decided that I was only going to be purchasing brands that are cruelty-free, and unfortunately, I found out that Clarisonic does sell their products in China. Now, it's a tool device, so it's kind of like a gray area thing, but they do sell some cleansers in mainland China where animal testing is still required. So that was unfortunate because it's not like they were testing the tools, but they were testing their other products even though I wasn't buying it, so I felt kind of weird about it. I decided I wasn't going to be discussing them anymore. I had a huge backstock of the brush head, so it wasn't like I ever needed to buy it really again anyway. And shortly thereafter, I actually got on a whole new skincare regimen from my esthetician, which is the Jan Marini skincare line I've talked a lot about, and my skin has changed even more from that. So when I was talking with her about the Clarisonic and everything, she's like, you could use it occasionally, but the other stuff that you're going to be using is going to be giving you your exfoliation. So I kind of phased it out. I wasn't really using it that often. It would sit in my shower. I mean, I have the device right here. This is my original one. This is the Clarisonic Mia. This is not even called Mia 1. This was like the original Mia because they didn't have a 2 or 3. It's just the Mia. So it is still going strong. You can hear it. It is working really well. Everything's fine with it. It's just not something that I gravitate to using because my esthetician said it's not really necessary. Basically, it was a good tool. I mean, when I needed to use it, when I wasn't using as strong of stuff, I felt like it did a really good job and I did enjoy it. Once I found out they weren't cruelty-free and I was going that cruelty-free route, and it was kind of like, whatever, it's a good timing. Everything just kind of phased it out, right? But overall, good experience. So I was surprised to see this email that they were going out of business because I've really only heard good things about it. I even got my sister on this and my mom, and they all loved the device. So it's a little bit of a shock. But like I said at the beginning, it was a shock at first until I really sat back and thought about it. Again, I want to stress that this is just my opinion. I literally have no idea why they're going out of business. It's just kind of what I thought about, maybe some contributing factors on why they're going out of business. Number one, one, I would say when they first came onto market, like they were pretty groundbreaking. Everybody loved them. They were pretty awesome. And they only had, they had their first model, but then they slowly released different models. And I want to say when I bought my Mia, there was the Classic and the Plus. So just 3 models to choose from, 3 brush heads, very clear cut, very simple. That was like that until just a couple years ago. I noticed, about 2 or 3 years ago, I started noticing constant like launches of different devices, taking away devices, adding new ones, this and that. And there's like, I think it got up to like 8 or 9 different devices. And to me, that looked overwhelming. I mean, I did my last Clarisonic video, I don't even know now, but it was basically covering the different devices. And at that time of that video, I think there was 6 different devices. And I would still get comments on that video saying, well, what about this device now? What about this device? And I was just like so overwhelmed. I'm like, I wasn't trained on those ones. I was trained on the original ones back when I managed a beauty store, but like I haven't kept up with it. And then shortly thereafter, I went cruelty free. But I just noticed that there was so many launches, and it's kind of like, is it necessary? I mean, it's one of those things where a brand totes their technology as being so superior, and that is just a great device, and it's like a $200 device, and that's all you're gonna need. And then, you know, a year later they come out with another one, and then 3 months after that, and then 3 months, and then 3 months, and it just becomes too much, you know? So that's kind of what I'm seeing happen with a lot of brands these days, and a lot of them are starting to slowly lose their just appeal because they're bombarding customers with so many launches that it's just like hard to focus because it's too much, and then you get overwhelmed, and then you say forget it. So if I, let's hypothetically say 6 months ago was looking into Clarisonic, I would have been completely overwhelmed because there were so many different devices, and then you look on this site and then there's these different ones because they're getting discontinued but you don't know it yet, and then this one has these other ones, and it's a little much. And same thing with the brush heads. There was so many brush heads that it became overwhelming. So yeah, it's a little much. I think it caused customer and consumer fatigue, which, like I said, I feel like is kind of plaguing the beauty industry right now. So I'd love it if brands kind of started slowing their roll and seeing, hey, let's put out good quality product. Let's stand behind that product. Let's let that product have its moment. And eventually we can add to it, you know? So that's one of the reasons why I feel like it just became too much. Another reason would be the tool industry in general, skincare tools, in the last year or two really took off. So there's a lot more skincare devices and skincare tool devices available on the market. When Clarisonic first came out, they were one of the only ones that you could use yourself at home, kind of similar to like a dermatologist office procedure, but obviously way more condensed down, something that you could do at home, something you could do daily. So since then, obviously so many more brands are on the market, and a lot of them are competing with the cleansing tool like the Clarisonic. There's the what is it called? The Foreo, that's a popular one, and you don't have to change the brush head or anything. I don't know what the lifespan on it is, but things like that, tools like that basically massage the skin and allegedly like wiggle out any kind of debris and dirt and buildup and makeup and everything. So the competition became a lot more stiff, I would say. That's one of the reasons. And I think Clarisonic, it looks like their way to try to compete with that was to launch more products. But I mean, I don't feel like that was the right path to go. I mean, yeah, honestly, obviously. So here's the other thing that I realized too, is Clarisonic wasn't really taking advantage of, let's say, influencer kind of advertising, right? I never saw my favorite YouTubers talk about Clarisonic. I never saw them post anything on Instagram about it, not even like PR things. And I think other brands were taking advantage of it because, I mean, it's an easy way of advertising. Yes, it costs money to send it out, but it's a fraction of the cost to pay for a product. I mean, they pay wholesale for a product to send out versus a print ad campaign or a commercial campaign. And I would see commercials from Clarisonic here or there, or like ads being put on YouTube videos, but nothing integrated, nothing where a consumer that is on YouTube is talking about it and they like it or whatever. And I think that's a missed opportunity. I mean, I know there's some mixed opinions on that, but honestly, you know, we talk about products that we love and we like. And if I never tried it before and there was a brand that sent me a different device, I'd probably try, if I tried that and I liked it, then I'd be talking about that one, you know? So I think it was a missed opportunity on Clarisonic's part to not take advantage of you know, gifting and seeing and sending it to somebody and finding out, you know, if they like it, then they'll talk about it, you know, that kind of thing. A lot of brands think it's a waste of money because they don't see direct results. But if you send somebody something and they do like it and they happen to talk about it, that was all they had to pay for was the cost of the product. So a lot of brands, I think, are doing that, and Clarisonic didn't take advantage of it. I hope that makes sense, you know, because I've seen like things like the Foreo and stuff. I think that's how you say it. I only know of that brand because I've seen some of my favorite people discuss it and talk about it or just try it for the first time, first impression. Some of them liked it, some of them didn't. So I only have that brand awareness because of that. So it's power in advertising, and sometimes it's in a more untraditional way. So I think that's part of it. I don't feel like they really stayed relevant with all the competition that they have out there for tools and advertising and everything. So, and then one other thing I realized too was that, okay, so you buy a skincare tool, and this can be a problem for any skincare tool devices, right? Because it's traditionally a high upfront cost. My Mia was, I think, around $129 when I bought it, but they had devices all the way up to $300 plus. So that's a lot. I mean, even $100, that's a lot of money upfront, but you're not really getting that reoccurring income just like you would a mascara or something, right? Even though mascaras are only, you know, $5 to $35 this year is a lot. But I mean, really, yeah, up to $35. Those people are buying that mascara over and over again. So over time, you're getting more like kind of like the bread and butter, I like to say, the continuation of that purchase. The only thing that Clarisonic had going for it were the brush heads, but it's one of those keeps them relevant, but also hurts them because so many companies like Ulta and stuff would run specials on their brush heads. Not all the time, but enough that's when I stocked up on so many because it was 50% off the brush heads. So they weren't really getting any money from it, like profiting off of it. They had to pay Ulta whatever Ulta's share is, and then so I mean, that was their only source of keeping the customer continuing. And it's kind of one of those things with skincare tools. Once they reach their max of their consumer base, that's it. Once everybody that wants to buy a Clarisonic has purchased one, that's their main thing. And then they might get sales here and there for the brush head replacements. But also the brush heads, they would say have a lifespan of 3 months. How many of us actually replace it every 3 months? And that was with 2 times a day using it, right? So they did do this little trick with the brush heads where they put like a sensor in there so it would show you when it's been the amount of uses. So that was helpful, but it was also kind of like, but the brush head looks fine and it's clean. I clean it often. So do I really need to replace it? So, you know, it's one of those like, it's a good idea in theory. That would help be their bread and butter, but I don't know. Maybe that's part of the reason why it's like they couldn't keep that profitable profit margin. Oh, one other thing, and that's the reason why I believe that they're not cruelty free, was they were purchased by a large conglomerate. I don't remember which brand it was, like L'Oreal or Lancome, something like that. They purchased them a little while back, and it's sad because I feel like that's a downfall of a lot of companies. Some companies, it helps them to propel larger and higher, but when a really, really large conglomerate purchases one really unique style thing, I feel like the attention kind of gets taken off of them, right? Because they have so many different brands, so many different types of things they're working with that they might fall by the wayside. So they might get them into Sephora, they might get them into Ulta, but they don't have that support, and they might have changed hands, changed teams. The original owners might not be there anymore, so there might not be that passion and that vision. And then things happen like a million launches. Like, why did we ever need so many different type of tools? I mean, they made a men's one, and then they made the 3 different types of Mias, and they all do different speeds, and it got a little overwhelming. It got a little crazy, and I can kind of see now, after taking a step back and looking at it, oh, some of those things that we talked about might be a couple reasons why, or at least contributed to a reason why they couldn't sustain. So they had a good run. They lasted a little while. And also I kind of almost wonder if they might have lost their patent. I don't know why that like came to mind, but maybe because patents only usually last so long, and they had like a specific patent on this Clarisonic, so maybe they lost it. I don't know. I mean, there's also so many brands now that copied them and did something similar, and I don't know which brand is actually doing well doing it, but I know I've seen things from like Olay similar, and they already have like this big line. So maybe that's what Clarisonic missed out on. They didn't like come up with a skincare line to work alongside it, and that's good and bad. I always admired that about them because they weren't pushing all this other stuff that you had to do with the product, but also then, like I said, you kind of miss out on that bread and butter, and the only thing you're relying on for a consistent consumer is brush head replacements. That's kind of my thoughts and opinions on everything. I would love to find out from you guys down in the comments what you think kind of went wrong with Clarisonic. Do you have a Clarisonic? What do you feel about this situation? Are you worried that you won't be able to get brush heads? I saw that they pretty much sold out of everything everywhere. I thought I saw Clarisonic say they were going to do one more restock, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. Be careful of people on eBay and Amazon who are gouging people because that happens. Hopefully you don't have to deal with that. That's it for today. That was just our little chit chat, little talk, a little different than my channel where I usually am painting my face. My face is already painted, but thank you for hanging out. If you happen to be new to my channel and new to my face, I would love it so much if you consider subscribing before you go. My name is Ashley Ellix. I don't think I ever introduced myself. Hello. I post cruelty-free, beauty-related videos 3 times a week here on my channel, and I would love to have you. But that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you next time. Bye.